Alright, so we are back with yet another Pauper deck tech. Today we are looking at a red-green ramp deck with a little bit of a land destruction theme going on. It looks like land destruction decks are rising in popularity again in the current metagame. So that's pretty interesting. I've always been a fan of that archetype. So this is a list that recently 5-0'd a Pauper league. And it's using some new cards from New Capenna, which is pretty interesting. So let's dive in. First up, it's running 2 copies of this new Gruul land from Streets of New Capenna. So there's a few of them. This one is Racer's Ring, the red-green one. So it enters tapped. It has tap add 1 red or 1 green. And then it also says pay 4 mana, 2 generic, 1 red, 1 green. Tap, sacrifice Racer's Ring, draw a card. So pretty cool for in the late game, you can sacrifice it and draw a card. So it'll be pretty cool to see how many decks start running these lands from now on. I suspect quite a few might do so. Okay, so let's look at the rest of the list. So as I said, it's pretty much a ramp list. So it's using the standard Arbor Elf and Enchantment package. So Arbor Elf, of course, 1 green for a 1/1 with tap, untap target forest. And then we slap some auras on our forests that make them tap for extra mana. So of course we have Utopia Sprawl, 1 green for an aura. As it enters the battlefield, choose a color. Then whenever you tap the enchanted forest, it produces 1 extra mana of the chosen color. Then very similar, it's playing 2 copies of Wild Growth, 1 green for an aura. Whenever enchanted land is tapped for mana, its controller adds 1 additional green. Okay, then for some removal, we're running a full set of Lightning Bolt. So then the rest of the deck is running some big cascading threats. We've got a full set of Annoyed Altasaur, 7 mana for a 6/5, Reach, Trample, Cascade. Likewise, 4 copies of Boarding Party, 6 mana for a 6/3 Haste Cascade. So for a bit of land destruction and ramp, we have a full set of Imwanvuli Acid Moss, 4 mana for a sorcery, destroy target land, search your library for a forest and put it onto the battlefield tapped. So then, since we are running a lot of cascade spells, we have creatures that we want to cascade into, which draw us cards. So like the Jund Cascade decks, we are playing Sarulf's Packmate, 4 mana for a 3/3. When it enters the battlefield, draw a card, and it has Foretell for 2 mana. Okay, then for more card draw, we have Llanowar Visionary, 3 mana for a 2/2. When it enters the battlefield, draw a card, and it also has tap add 1 green, so more mana ramp. Then we're running 2 copies of this card, which is pretty interesting. Penumbra Spider, 4 mana for a 2/4 Reach. When Penumbra Spider dies, create a 2/4 black spider creature token with Reach. So essentially a 2/4 spider that when it dies gets you another 2/4 spider. And then finally, it's playing this new card from Streets of New Capenna called Jewel Thief. It generated a little bit of buzz when it first got spoiled, but a lot of people were wondering if there were any decks that it would really fit into, because I mean it's 3 mana, which means it doesn't really fit into mono-green aggro lists, but this deck seems to have found a place for it. So it's 3 mana for a 3/3, Vigilance, Trample, and when Jewel Thief enters the battlefield, create a treasure token, meaning that Jewel Thief is effectively only 2 mana. So it's a bit more ramp, and it's also a pretty decent aggro threat. I mean, 3 for a 3/3 Vigilance Trample is definitely a very solid body in Pauper. Right, so that's the deck. It definitely looks pretty powerful and pretty fun. I've always been a fan of these sort of big ramp strategies, and this looks like a pretty powerful take on it. If you have ideas for a similar list, please let me know. And if you've seen any other decks using Streets of New Capenna cards, or if you have some ideas for decks using New Capenna cards, please let me know in the comments. As always, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.